Welcome to Comics on a Pyre, a channel to have a meaningful conversation over movies, life, books, and shows, and maybe just a spot to spend time BSing over comics. If you like your entertainment with a bit of substance, then you, my vagabond friend, have come to the right tavern. Tether your horse by the post and come right on in and warm yourself by the fire. Tap that subscribe button, and for the next few minutes, my fellow George Carlin reprobate, lend me your ear. Since the beginning of Marvel Comics, the number 4 has had a special meaning when it came to superhero teams and villains. The Fantastic Four, the Fearsome Four, the Frightful Four. The Fantastic Four, in fact, has been so influential that they are considered by most as Marvel Comics' first family. But did you know a side effect off of their popularity created a new Marvel team? But this one was conceived with more nefarious intentions in mind. Confused? Well, don't be. For I will explain myself in this episode of Comics on the Pyre, with the origin story and first appearance of Marvel's unscrupulous UFOs, who were created by Bill Mantlo and Sal Buscema. The origin story can be read in The Incredible Hulk, issue number 254. While Bruce Banner was sleeping it off from an all-night bender as the Green Goliath in the desert outback, a few yards away, unbeknownst to him, 4 ambitious figures were planning to reenact one of the most astronomical, serendipitous accidents that mankind has ever been a part of. The creation of the superhero team known to the world at large as the Fantastic Four. And it all starts here, within the clandestine walls of Utrecht Industries. Its founder, Simon Utrecht, along with his lover, Anne Darnell, his support specialist, her brother Jimmy Darnell, his fuel propulsion engineer, and last but not least, Mike Steele, Utrecht's chief scientist and personal pilot. Together, the 4 hoped to launch themselves into space and get bombarded by the same cosmic rays that gave the Fantastic Four their powers. Only this group plans on using their superpowers for their own selfish endeavors, instead of using it for the good of mankind like their predecessors. Later that night, when a cosmic storm is forecasted to bypass the outer reaches of Earth's atmosphere, 4 cosmonauts with properly fitted attire sneak out into the night and onto the desolate desert vista. Within moments, they are on board the rocket and propelled into space. Banner, awakened by the launch, enters the Utrecht facilities and finds it abandoned. Within the control rooms, he learns that the rocket he saw earlier that was launched into space is being controlled by the central mainframe and no live personnel. Meanwhile, high in the upper stratosphere, the crew are monitoring the controls and checking the system's gauges, preparing to enter the cosmic storm that would change their lives forever. Seeing that the rocket perilous trajectory and unaware of the crew's clandestine intentions, Bruce is fraught with dread over the crew's likely outcome. Upon entering the universal tempest, the passengers are deluged with rays of light. Instantly they feel the storm's effects. One is weighted down by his body's density, and the other is engulfed in the ship's gases, while the others are undergo their own metabolic transmutations. Bruce, feeling the fate of their lives on his shoulder, supersedes the vessel's controls from the computer's mainframe, steering the ship immediately out of the storm and back onto Earth. But the observant Samaritan feels his actions are too late, and the lives of the crew, no matter what interventions he enacts, are destined to end in despair. But, to Banner's surprise, what emerges from the crashed vessel's rubble is a newfound threat that proves no good deed ever goes unpunished. Feeling robbed of unlimited power, the death-defying cosmonauts turned supernatural beings take their anger out on the man they deemed the reason for their shortcomings. If it wasn't for his interference, their powers would have been exponentially more greater. The gambit into outer space was working, and the UFOs felt if they stayed basking in the light rays longer, their powers would have been increased. But because of Banner's oblivious actions, they were granted just menial levels of power. For his intervention, they felt he must pay, and the price for such insolence is death. But not before he is tortured slowly. The assault of X-Ray's attacks seemed though to be too much for Bruce's fragile constitution to handle, and so lying in the clutches of Ironclad's steel embrace, his body goes limp and devoid of life. Believing his capture to be dead, the alloy brute contemplates over the consequences of his teammates' actions. He surmises that it matters not now the laws of man, since they have become so much more. They are all powerful beings, unrestricted by man's rules, since no mortal man could corral them and no prison can restrain them. So deep in rumination over his newfound abilities, in fact, that the Chrome Giant is unaware of the transformation that is happening under his very nose. A transformation that may prove his undoing. Quickly, with the surprise attack on his side, the green-hued giant follows off with an assault by tearing off a piece of the ship's fuselage and hurling it at his attackers. What follows is a battle of fierce proportions, but in the end, the UFO's own abilities, since they are new to them, prove their own undoing. To find out just exactly what I mean, well, you know what you have to do. Just read the issues for yourself. But what I will tell you though, is even though this is their first time these formidable powers meet, it would not be their last. I always wondered though, why Marvel never put the UFOs up against the Fantastic Fours themselves, since they were the inspiration for the team's origin after all. Ironclad would fight the Thing, of course, but how would the others pair up against the rest of the team? I know one thing for sure though, the UFO's defeat would lie in Reed Richards' knowledge of chemistry. He would exploit each one of their weaknesses through science. With that said, let's go through the team's roster. And it may be of note worth that unlike other teams, their members throughout the years have never wavered and stayed the same over the course of time. The first off the bat is Vector, aka Simon Utridge, who was an industrialist and politician who craved more power. He used his resources to copy everything about the Fantastic Four's flight into space and hired a crew of hopes of gaining his own superpowers. Vector gained the power of telekinesis from his cosmic rays. Enormously powerful, he could focus his power into blast, repelling an object no matter what its weight, size, or density. He is also capable of flight. Second is Vapor, aka Anne Darnell, who is Simon Utridge's lover and fellow teammate X-Ray's older sister. Vapor has the ability to alter her form into any known gas, usually the most lethally poison she can imagine, and invade their opponent's body. Vapor can transform into herself full human state, but for the briefest of moments though. Third is X-Ray, aka Jimmy Darnell. He has been permanently transformed into a living energy field, intangible and immune to most physical harm. He has the power to expel various forms of heavy radiation in the form of very potent blasts, shown capable of hurting even the Hulk. X-Ray has the ability to fly and turn invisible. He also is capable of emitting negative gamma rays that turn the Hulk back into Bruce Banner against his will. A power that I deem very effective. And last but not least, Ironclad, aka Michael Steele, who has been permanently transformed into organic metal, which gives him superhuman strength, durability, and the ability to increase or decrease his own weight, allowing him such extreme feats as to either hover in the air or come crushing down on his opponents like a mountain. If you would like further reading on the UFOs, you can, of course, read The Incredible Hulk, issue number 254, which tells the team's origin and first appearance in comics. But you can then read The Incredible Hulk, issues 275, 276, 277, and 278, which tells the story of their first rematch. But this time, the UFOs have all acclimated to their newfound powers and give the Hawk a run for his money. I believe this storyline is of note because it shows off the way to subdue the Hawk permanently against his will. A power, as I said before, that can be of much use. But if you want a really good UFO Hawk encounter, check out The Incredible Hawk number 397, 398, 399, 400, and lastly 401. This encounter is of special note for, I believe, 3 reasons. First, 2 being that it was written by the great Peter David and drawn by the magnificent Dale Cohn, one of the best ever to illustrate the Emerald Giant. And thirdly, you get to see just exactly to the extent on how far the Hawk's healing factor can go. As you will see in these pages, his flesh is nearly stripped down to the bone, and he is still powerful. Well, there you go, true believers. A glimpse inside of the villainous team known as the UFO. Until next video though, check out my comic book YouTube channel, Comics on the Pyre, for other videos like this one. Tap on that bell icon before you go, and oh yes, as always, until next time, keep reading, my friends.